Okay, what I want to talk to you about today is your options when an insurance company has decided to either deny your claim or underpay it. You have three options, and it is go to appraisal. The second one is to hire a public adjuster, and the third is to hire an attorney. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of all three, all right? With appraisal. Most people understand, but if you don't, it's basically a process whereby you appoint somebody to act as your appraiser. The insurance company appoints somebody as well. They try to come to an agreement as to the amount of your loss, and if they can't, they submit it to a third person who will make that decision. Then there will be an appraisal award which will bind the amount of damages to both parties. Okay, so that's basically your appraisal process. The pros of appraisal, it is if you have appraisers that are working together and working diligently, it's probably the quickest process. The second thing is that the damages are bound. Both the insurance company and you are going to be bound to the damages that are awarded in the appraisal, or at least that's the maximum. I'll talk a little bit about the cons in a second that weigh in on that factor. So those are the two pros. Now the cons of appraisal are, number one, you've got to pay an appraiser out of your own pocket. Depending on the size of your claim, that may cost you anywhere between $1,000 and $15,000. If your appraiser and the insurance company's appraiser can't arrive at an agreed amount that's owed, then you're going to have to hire an umpire. That is also going to come out of your pocket. Again, that one may be somewhere in the $1,500 to $10,000 or $15,000 range. Kind of depends on the size of your claim. But you're never getting that money back. There's no chance to get that money back under the policy. Okay. The second con, the appraisal process, is that once you turn it over to an appraiser who, according to the policy, must be independent and impartial, it is completely out of your hands. You have no control whatsoever. You can't tell the appraiser what needs to be in the estimate. You can't tell him what needs to be out. You can't tell him arguments to make. You're not even allowed to contact them. So if you are unfortunate enough to have an unfavorable appraisal award, you're stuck with it, and there isn't anything that you can do about it, okay? The last con is the ability of the insurance company to claim that even though your damages have been set, it's not covered. So in other words, every insurance policy has a provision that says that even though the amount of the damages is binding on the insurance company, they still can claim that it's not a covered loss. So it doesn't necessarily resolve your entire claim, all right? So that's appraisal. Your second option is to hire a public adjuster. Your pros with a public adjuster are, there are some great public adjusters out there, and a lot of them that know what they're doing and that can advance your claim quickly. However, there are a lot of them that don't know what they're doing, okay? And the problem with that is that you may not know which ones are good and which ones are not. Okay. Cons. Public adjusters have no leverage against insurance companies. There's nothing that they can do to make them pay more money than the original claim. They also are going to take 10% of everything that they're able to convince the insurance company to pay. But they can, under no circumstances, force an insurance company to pay the claim plus their fee or plus interest or plus punitive damages or anything to that effect. So the worst case scenario for an insurance company when a PA is involved is to pay the claim. Your last option is to hire an attorney. The pros with regard to attorneys are that attorneys have a tremendous amount of leverage with insurance companies. And what I mean by that is they have the threat of forcing the insurance company to pay much more than they would have had to pay had they paid the claim in full and timely in the first place. So let me give you an example. All right, we had a case not long ago where the insurance company owed $38,000. And what we told the insurance company was that they needed to settle that for that $38,000 plus the attorney's fees that were owed. So I don't remember what the offer was. Let's say it was $60,000 or $70,000. The insurance company said, no, we're not going to pay that. And we told them, you have to understand that what you're subjecting yourself to is having to pay not only those damages, but our attorney's fees, interest, costs, expert witness fees, and potentially punitive damages. In addition to that, the insurance company has to pay their own lawyer and their own experts to fight these claims. So let's take this $38,000 claim. In order to take a case to trial, the insurance company may spend $100,000, let's say, on their own attorneys. Well, if they lose, they're going to have to spend that $100,000 plus our attorney's fees, which in this particular case happened to be $150,000. We ended up winning that case and got a $238,000 judgment. So in a scenario where the insurance company really only owed $34,000 or $38,000, whatever the actual number was, they ended up paying $238,000. That's a threat that you can only have if you have an attorney on board. Hiring an attorney is the only way that you're going to recover 100% of what you were owed in the first place without having to give some of that away as part of a fee or part of expenses. Attorneys like us work on a contingent basis, and our goal is to settle your case for 100% of what you're owed, plus all the fees and expenses on top of that. You can't do that in any other scenario. The cons of attorneys. Unfortunately, there are some attorneys out there who are in it for a quick buck. And what they want to do is take your case and settle it for less than what you're owed in the first place. So let's say you're owed $100,000. You hire an attorney who's lazy and he wants to settle it for $100,000. Well, now he's going to take a percentage of your money and you're never going to be made whole. You've got to find the right attorney that doesn't do that. We don't do that. We never settle cases for less than 100 cents on the dollar plus the fees and expenses, unless there's a problem with the case, such as that a prior claim was made and paid and no damages were actually fixed, okay? So in essence, that is your only real con in hiring an attorney. It's the only way you're going to get made 100% whole out of the three options that you have.